Welcome to Not So PG. I'm Brooke Blurton. My pronouns are she and her.
I'm Matty Mills. My pronouns are he and him. And before we get started, we'd like to acknowledge the custodians of the land on which we record. For me, that's the Gadigal People of the Eora Nation.
And obviously, I'm not Brooke, but Brooke is with us. Brooke slept in. Hey, Brooke.
Sleeping Beauty.
Hi, guys. I'm sorry.
And what lands are you on, Brooke?
Well, I'm in the Rondry lands, but obviously in Dreaming Land because I've just woken up. Yes, thanks for calling me out.
Dreamtime princess over there.
Well, I've always wanted to say this. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. All right, Chae, mic off. No. How are you, B?
I'm good. You have to bear with me. I feel like I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and then you just jump straight into it whilst I still find my feet. Oh, God.
Yeah, while I get a coffee, wake up. No. Wait,
it's
someone's
in my
calling.
Argument. Oh, no, that's my fucking alarm that I just, slept
You
through.
didn't even hear that. I had to tell you it was going on.
See what I mean? I need to change my alarm, honestly. Swear to God. Okay, question to you. Because it's been a very long time that I have slept through something to miss it completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I haven't missed this, thank God I woke up.
Yeah.
But has there been something that you've slept through that you're like, oh my God?
Oh, yeah. So when I was 20 years old, I was working at Channel 9 and the deal was I could go to the Voice after party if I still came into work the next day. But the Voice after party doesn't start until midnight and I was like this little shit kicker in programming that was working on the Voice in the evenings. And so I went to the after party and I was doing shots with Delta Goodrem at like 4:30 a.m. and fell asleep on a pot plant at Marquee at the Star in Sydney and woke up like half an hour later at like 5 a.m. when they were like kicking everyone out. And I was still asleep in the cab on the way home, went straight to sleep when I got home at my apartment, then slept through to like 12, woke up to like 155 missed calls from Channel 9. Everyone thought I had died. Like, seriously, thought I had died. And I got into work. I was so embarrassed. And then I basically, had to do the walk of shame into the office. And all the executives were like, you had one job, and that was to get in here the next day at like 9 o'clock, because it was also my job to show and take the ratings and make sure everyone got like the details of what rated the night before. And the Voice grand finale is such a big show that like the executives, were waiting on those numbers. And little Matty, who fell asleep on the pot plant because he did too many shots with Delta Goodrem, didn't make it to work. So, yes, I slept through all my alarms that day.
I mean, that's a good story. I was thinking, you just slept through a meeting or you slept through a date. I don't know.
No, the worst thing is when your alarm becomes the music of the club that you're out the night before in your dreams and you're like, boom, 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 and you're like full on like in the vibe of like the alarm and then you don't wake up. It's like you're still on the dance floor. That's the bad one.
Oh my God. Do you have a peaceful alarm or do you have like quite an abrupt one?
Mine is the generic alarm that everyone has. Like, so my PT has the alarm on his phone at the gym for like our minute rest between sets, which is my bedtime alarm. So like it's like like it's one of those really shit ones. I don't have any like soothing music to wake up to, but as soon as I get up, I normally put my chill morning relaxation Spotify playlist on, which gets me into Zen mode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fair.
How about you?
Gosh. Well, you heard it. It's like this nice little wake up, but maybe that's not what I need these days. No, I have just been struggling to go to sleep. So the last 3-4 nights, normally I would fall asleep like 9 o'clock, bang out. But it's been like restless legs. I don't know if you've ever had restless legs. It's like so uncomfortable.
What are restless legs?
Anyways, I've just had that. It's like a feeling in your legs like you've got ants crawling in your legs.
Oh my God.
And no matter how much you move, you feel like you can't get comfortable.
Fuck. I would hate that.
Yeah, it's so uncomfortable. Yeah. And so every day of this week I've had restless legs, and I've even tried to like drink magnesium, drink tea, take a sleeping tablet, everything to sort of just like get myself into a better rhythm. And I've been waking up at like normal at 7:00 time that I usually do, or 6:30, because I drop Cobra off at daycare.
Yeah.
But yeah, today I just kind of fucked up.
No, that's okay. Look, these things happen. I woke up in the middle of the night last night because I tried to get a really early night's sleep. So the day before yesterday on Tuesday, I worked from 9 until midnight. Like, it was like crazy. Like, it was like I couldn't get out of rehearsals. I was like sick, and I still had to go in, and then I had to do this shoot in the evening, and I was like so run down that like I got to the end of the night and I literally was like in my head, the next morning I was like, there's no way I'm getting up. But sometimes you just gotta soldier through. Yeah.
This is the annoying thing though, because I've like been prioritizing my health lately and like really quite intensely.
Good.
You know, like making sure that I'm exercising, I'm eating so well. So it's so annoying that like when one thing is going really well, one thing is not, and you're like, how on earth like do people have it all together? Yeah. But you know what? I realized in life, everyone's just fucking fluking it. No one has it
100%. I feel like busy me is good me, but when I'm sick, like for instance, the start of this week I was just not well, and like now I'm just starting to get over it, and so I know that I need to cut back on some of my commitments because I'm running myself to the ground. You know, like I can definitely feel that I'm burning the candle at both ends, but at the end of the day, like I'm a workaholic and I love to work, and like
Same.
it's my yeah, totally. So like it's a bit of a balancing act, but I can't, you know, live without work, and I can't work without the other parts of my life. So anyway, but I had such a big weekend before this week started, and I think that's what took it out of me. I went to Darwin and I hosted the Art Awards and worked at the NEMA Awards, and like I was exhausted from the moment I got to Darwin because it's 33 fucking degrees. And it's hot. So I, you know, come from cold Sydney to Darwin. I did love it, but it was like a change of weather. It was working long hours into the evening and then celebrating with friends in the evening. And it's like, I need to figure out how to do life without the celebration. Like, I feel like I'm such like I convince myself that I deserve a celebration every time I do something. I'm like, oh, well, I've worked so long today. I might as well go out and celebrate with my friends. It's like, no, go home and rest, boy.
I feel like I'm your conscience in that.
Yes.
Remember when we were in LA? I feel like I'm your conscience. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's time. Like, we should go.
Totally.
The change of climate would have definitely taken it out of you. I feel like every time I'm traveling, a change of climate always will like make me feel really sick, like really run down. So, I mean, you probably look a bit more better and well, and you were sick, and I'm not even sick, and I look like this. So, fuck.
You look amazing. Don't say that about my friend.
No. I'm like...
but you want to know some good news? I settled the drama. Do you remember the story that I told the week before last when I got back from Darwin about the musician who who didn't confront me but had told someone about the issues they had with me? So their family called me and we settled it. It was great. It was like they called me. I was in rehearsals and I had this like random number call. We had a biggest yarn. They understood where I was coming from. They understood that I had no affiliation with that person, and we settled it. So now it's like, okay, well, that's good. And we're back on track, which is how it should be and how it should have happened a long time ago. But, you know, these mob want to hold on to things and not ask you questions and make up stories.
Oh, okay. So
Black politics.
Stuff is settled. The black politics is settled.
But I'm still pissed off. No, I'm kidding. I'm not.
I would be so pissed off if someone started a yarn about me. I mean, people always start yarns about me. I hear it and it comes back to me, I'm just like, you're literally not standing on any type of leg. Like,
totally.
I stick to myself. I don't do anything to like bring anyone harm. I work all the time. I sleep all the time. I'm not doing anything, so I feel weird. That's really.
Well, you went to the farmer's market. That was cute. That little
No,
unboxing.
I need to tell you about this market joke. Anyways, it's quite funny.
Okay, tell me.
I thought I was going to open with it, but clearly we're running on a time thing. No, so obviously Sunday, I've got a Sunday routine where I go to the market. I pick this box. I started it with my old housemate Hannah, and I used to do it. And the box started off like being like $20, and you get all of this produce, but now it's like $35, and you get way more than you used to. Mm-hmm. So it's better. Anyways, I was trying to pick which box that I was going to get, and they're all sort of similar. Some have things that some don't. Like, it depends. Anyways, this guy came up to me, and I thought I was in his way, so I apologized and was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm in your way." And he's like, "No, all good." And then I just said, "Oh, I'm trying to look for the one with the biggest eggplant." Just came out of my mouth, and I was like,
Ooh,
"Wait, what?" I was like,
"Same, babe, same."
And I just grabbed my mouth, and I was like, "Oh my God, I just cannot believe I just said this to this random guy." Swear to God, he probably was gay, and he had no interest in me or my.
He was like, "Same, babe,
market
same,
jokes
babe."
About, yeah, and I was just like, "What the fuck?" And then the ironic thing is, I took my market box home. Did you believe that I got an eggplant? No.
Girl, this is the universe. This is the universe being like, "Dodge the dick, babe. Dodge the dick."
I am actually. You're really proud of me, actually.
Oh, okay. Can you tell me? Tell me. I'm sipping my coffee right now.
I mean, I know that you're like loved up and it's sickening, so shut up.
Girl, haven't I got news for you?
Well, so I deleted all the dating apps. I'm not dating.
I thought you were dating Emily Ratajkowski, whatever her name is.
Rada was on my Raya, which is hilarious.
Yes.
No, so I've been going on Raya, and I've been unmatching with people on it. I don't want anyone like that is not, you know what I mean? I've only just like gone on Raya for just friends, and that's in my bio. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it's a funny thing because I saw Shawn Mendes and Emrata on Raya.
Shawn fucking Mendes. Wait, hold up. Wait, what?
I swear to you, I would have screenshot it, but I didn't know how to.
Mendes. Oh, my life. I wish I was a woman right now.
But hilarious because some guy messaged me that you know that I know that we know is message saying, "Oh, I've got the biggest yarns about Shawn Mendes." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know why, but girls tell me things." And I was like, true as God, these people have the biggest yarns. And I'm like, I don't care.
Well, I have yarns about Shawn Mendes as well. Do you want to know?
Sure.
Actually, I'm not going to say because the reason I'm not going to say is because I definitely know that this could get me in trouble. But yes, I have yarns about Shawn Mendes from somebody who's worked with him very closely, who you've met. And that's all I'm saying.
Maybe it's the same guy.
Wait, Baz Luhrmann's texting you?
Oh.
But yes, Raya, have you found some nice friends? Like connections in the US maybe? Are you coming with me? Are we going?
No, I'm telling you, when I say that I've stopped dating and seeing people, I've spent every single night other than with my friends by myself this week.
Oh, good on you.
Week.
I'm proud of you. That's good.
Yeah, it's a lonely thing, but it's good. I'm learning to be okay with my own company again, and I'm enjoying that.
Well, speaking of own company, because I'm like, this is something I struggle with as well. I've been seeing this guy now for a couple of months, and it's got to the stage where we've started to talk about the fork in the road and where we're heading. It's like, are we going down this road or are we going down this road? And we got to the point where we had a conversation about him possibly moving into my apartment, which is like, you
That's a
know,
big
something
move,
that
yeah.
it is a big move, but also, you know me, I'm a people pleaser. So I'm like a yes man when it comes to like not wanting to hurt people's feelings, and to the point where I will sacrifice my own comfort so that I can, you know, make sure that someone is okay. And I grew a set of balls before the conversation and basically was like, no, I had some boundaries that I wanted to put in place, and that it, you know, this conversation happened like a couple of weeks ago about the possibility of moving in, and we came to a decision that like it wasn't a good idea because one, it's not really what I was looking for in terms of like jumping straight into like a serious relationship, especially after, you know, my previous relationship. I really want this to be like a slow burn vibe. We get to a point where we do want to call each other's boyfriends down the track, yes, but at the moment we're just having fun dating, and it's been like nearly 3 months now. And it was sort of based on his situation, you know, there was a bit of stuff happening in his life where he was either going to like get his own place or he was going to like move in with me. Anyway, so we decided that he wasn't going to move in, and that was like done, dusted, the conversation's done. But today he's sort of brought the conversation back up and is at a point where he's like, oh, maybe it's just for a temporary time, like a small amount of time. And I haven't replied yet because I got the message like right now. So I haven't replied, but what would you do in this situation? Like, I want to know, because you know me, Gemini, I flip on my decisions a lot, but I also just like to be a people pleaser. What should I do? Because I've said no, it's not good. And now we're revisiting the conversation. Is this where I stick to my guns, or this is where I go, yeah, that's okay, just for a few weeks?
I mean, I think you've been really good to put in that boundary in the first place, to say, look, you know, be honest about your situation and how you're feeling about it. I think, you know, you and I are very similar in that we do sacrifice our own comfort. I have done that so many different, you know, times in my life, and I think I'm a little bit over it now where I've not gained anything from it. Like, at the end of the day, I'm still single by myself. Like, you know, I haven't gained anything from sacrificing that comfort for people that I've been with in relationship. And at times it's been really rewarding and it's been really good. But I mean, I personally, like, my own advice would be to respect that first choice that you made. And I think, you know, he should also respect that. And, you know, by him opening it up again, it's kind of crossing a little bit of a boundary. But if there's open line communication, then it's fine, right? So you're both like, okay, let's readdress this. But you only just close that chapter in some degree. Like,
yeah. And it's a small step. It's a small variation of the original conversation, because the original conversation was, let's move in and try and make something of this. But my thing was, we're not even boyfriends. We're two people dating, and you're talking about moving in. This seems really odd for me because we haven't made this exclusive. We haven't put a label on it, and then you're already moving into my place. Like, to me, that was just a little bit like, wow, okay, this is like not the order of things, the way that things should go. This is a little bit different because he's like, just a couple of weeks while he gets his own place. So I'm like,
oh, okay.
I'm like, yeah. So
is he going to pay
different.
rent? Like, in that time, will he contribute, or is it just like a favor?
I think it might be just a favour, but I mean, I feel like if I asked him to pay rent, he would. But at the same time, we went out to dinner the other night, and he texted me 2 days later and was like, "Can you pay me for the dinner?" And I don't know if that's
nah.
Okay.
That's sorry.
Oh no! I know. It was. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. What should I feel? Tell me. Is that odd?
That's so odd.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he wants to move in.
Yeah.
all right, you need to do some digging. You need to do some, because you can only do so much with the information that you have. You need more information. Like, you need to know, okay, you move in for this 2 weeks. Are you paying? Are you contributing? Like, this is all my stuff. Like, what's happening with your stuff? Like, are you just going to stay here for 2 weeks and then we're going to see where it's going? Like, you need to know the details. You need to talk about it. But, I mean, you've already put that line down as well. So I'm also like, this guy should be respecting the fact that you guys have already addressed it. It's not, readdressing it is just going to be like adding more, I just thought the dinner thing, like.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? I hate that when I have a few drinks, right? So when I get a few drinks, I get a bit lovey-dovey and I think I promise the world and I say things like, oh, I would love this or I would love that. And then when I wake up, I'm like, oh, why did I say those things that like maybe I was feeling in the moment but then aren't really like the best things for me or my situation or our situation. And like sometimes I feel like maybe I'm a little bit bad at like leading people on when I'm drunk.
I mean, if you're very self-aware, so you obviously realize that. So I would just be like, I'm so sorry. I said the wrong things. Like,
I
mean, so okay. Moving in is really difficult and it's a really hard thing to navigate, and I know that we've probably previously spoken about like when is too soon, like when is the right time. And this is the thing, like if you're having these conversations and you've put in a boundary, like he's not going to move in, you have to respect and honor that. Like it's not the right time. Like you will know then it's the right time because you'll be able to openly have like all of this chat. You'll have all of the information and you'll be able to make a decision. Yeah. So I feel like, when I've done it so many ways backwards in some degree as well. Like some moving in, I've dated people and they've not left my house for 4 weeks, and I've trialed the move-in period because if I'm like, well, I want to date this person, but I want to know straight away like how they, deal with like living. Yeah, I'm just like,
yes, that's a good indicator, right? If they do move in immediately, then like. You can sort of suss out how they live and does it work with you?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's always really helpful. But then also like it can also, you never have maybe a relationship after that period of time with someone because you're like, it's not for me kind of thing. And yes,
because you're finding out all the finer details.
Exactly. Like the things that they do that annoy you. And like I've moved in, I've been the U-Haul lesbian I've moved in after like a couple of weeks. I've like my last ex, I met him in December and we were moved in by February and we were together for about 15 months after that.
Yep.
So like, there's success stories and then there's maybe not so much success, but I think moving in, as you get older, like, I don't know. I'm just going to put this little bubble wrap around you and just say, like, I would just reserve your peace, your energy, and your space.
Yep.
Because there's always people that are going to be like, I want a piece of Matty, I want a piece of Matty, I want a piece of Matty. And they want to take from you, and you're so giving in that sense that you'll give in and you'll, again, sacrifice that comfort of yours. Like, this might be not something that you want, but you'll do it to make other people happy.
Yep.
I think just think about it a little bit more and ask questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely will definitely remember that advice because it's what I need to hear, because I'm the type of person who's like, oh, I can go without this peace or this comfort because you want to make someone else feel better. But like at the end of the day, it's not a long-term solution, and then you start to resent the person even though you made the decision to give up your comfort and peace. So yes, I'm going to take that on board 100%. I also just I feel like I need to channel more of my character that I'm currently playing in Black Showgirls, who is such a fucking asshole. Like, I am generally a nice, kind person, but like, this character that I'm playing lately is like, his name's Carl. He's Carl McLaughlin, based on the character in Showgirls. And like, he is just so straightforward and just so like, he's a misogynist, to be honest, and like a prick. But I want to take some of his qualities of like, he thinks he has the biggest balls on the planet. Like, I need to grow some balls.
The reference to balls and eggplants.
I know. This episode is just dicks and balls.
Boys, boxes, balls.
All right, well, the referendum is getting closer and closer, and Anthony Albanese, our Prime Minister, is expected to release the date this week, and it's supposedly falling on October 14th, which is the same day as the ACRAs. What the hell?
Yes.
Vote yes for me and for The Voice.
That's actually a really great campaign. I feel like, let me be your campaign manager and we can make this happen.
We can make this happen. But no, seriously, the voice conversation has been happening, you know, for so long now that people are exhausted. There is a slight lean towards the no vote at the moment, but what I've heard, and this is from a newsroom perspective, there was conversations within the SBS newsroom only a couple of weeks ago about the possibility of a no vote happening, and supposedly the people who are the campaign organisers for the yes side are really hoping that the last 2 months of this campaign is where they get to get people over the line for yes. And so their whole messaging and campaign, I suppose the power of their campaign is for the last 2 months, supposedly. I don't know how well that's going to work.
See, I think it's like when you see someone too much on TV, you kind of get a little bit exhausted from them, like that overexposure of things. You know what I mean?
How many shows you want to host?
True as God. You just get so annoyed at them, like annoyed at seeing their fucking face and their voice all the time. But back to The Voice, I feel like, you know, this could be not the right approach. I think overexposing people to this campaign could, you know, I feel like make people in a split moment change their mind. I don't know. You know, people were easily persuaded. I mean, people have probably already made up their mind, which is, you know, we're hoping that they're voting a yes in their minds. But when you've got polarizing voices like, you know, Peter Sutton and Jacinta Price, who I think is, people are confused because they're thinking, well, she's Aboriginal, why would she not be voting yes? And that's not necessarily, so this is the contrast of like, you know, differences in voice that we all have, right? And these are the people that a lot of people and the minority of people in the community and communities, we've never really supported Jacinta Price's, you know, political views at all. And not a lot of people would know that, but a lot of people seeing from the outside will be like, if Jacinta's saying no, then I should be saying no. You know what I mean? Because then they're trying to do the right thing for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, thinking that they're supporting them. And if Jacinta's saying no and these other people are saying no, they're like, well, they don't want it. They don't want it. Yeah. I mean, I think it's more groundwork needs to be done. I think more intimate conversations in community needs to be had. And I think, you know, it seems a little bit rushed by the Albanese government, but it actually really hasn't. The work for this has been happening for the last 12 years. And if not longer. Like if we look
definitely
at all the referendums before us that have changed our life and our future generations, the success of referendums it's not really high. So this is a huge ask, but it's the right ask, if anything. Like, I believe.
Yeah. I think I just think if you don't know what you're voting for, you need to figure it out, because there's no use getting to October 14th, going to the ballot box, putting in a yes or no when you don't really understand what you're voting for. Like, to me, the complacency of that is going to be where the problem is, because I feel like people aren't educating themselves enough. I don't think people are having conversations with First Nations people enough. They're hearing these agitators in the media and that's it. And it's like, if you're an Australian person who's going to vote on that day and you don't fully understand what you're voting for, please do the research, because it's like any sort of political vote. If you go and you just put in a yes or a no and you don't really understand what you're voting for, we're not going to get a real indicator of what this country thinks of First Nations people, culture and affairs. Like, I want a good indicator. I want the vote to be researched. I want the vote to be a real, like, accurate indicator of what Australia stands for right now, whether that's a yes or a no. I don't want people just to go and vote no because they have heard a couple of Aboriginal people say that it's racist to vote no because it's not self-determination. And I don't want people to vote yes because they think, oh, the poor, vulnerable First Nations people of this country. I want them to vote from their heart, what they feel. So, like, that's where the accurate information comes from. And also, if we get a no, like, it shows that we need more work. More work needs to be done on the ground. If we get a yes, still more work needs to be done on the ground. You know? It's like, I just want it to be accurate. I don't want people just to be voting, because they have to vote. It's like, do your research, figure it out, find out, and where does your heart sit when it comes to the future for First Nations people in this country?
I agree. I think the fear that for mob is putting that trust in the hands of the Australian population, which is far greater than the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander population. The
97%. Yep.
And we get that, and I think that's a big risk, and I think that's very trusting to think that, we've come that far. I'm trusting that we have come that far. Like, with the 200,000 people that follow me, I barely get any racism in some degree. It's only on Facebook that I ever get racism, and not to judge that off my platform, but I'm just saying, like, that's a big number, and most of the people, there's a small international presence, but most of those are Australian population, and most of them are the age between 18 and 34. And I think if I can help change the minds of those 200,000 people, like, that in a number is quite a bit, and I think people have that capacity to do so, like other platforms, other people in the media, and also just people that are in the community just having conversation. Like, I considered going down to my local coffee shop and just having the conversation. Like, I realised that I live in the south of Melbourne, and that's like quite a... Look, not all, and this is generalising, but an overgeneralisation would be like the south is a bit pretentious. I live here because I want to live close to the beach, and it's not affordable for most people. In the north, where it's a little bit more affordable, you see posters of, like, the yes vote everywhere, right? Yeah. It's very inclusive. Yep. It's very progressive. Over this side, it's not so much. And so I've considered just putting, like, a yes, asking my local cafe if I could just put a yes vote poster, and then that could start some conversations from here until the referendum that I can start whispering around in my area. And I think that's a small thing that people can do to a degree.
What about, would you go and sit at your, like, and this is an honest question, would you give an opportunity for people to have a conversation with you as a First Nations person at your local cafe? Would you be up for, like, a person coming in, having a yarn with you, having a coffee, having a yarn and understanding your point of view? Because I know that some people in the community are doing this. They're doing almost like pop-up conversations within the community where they're going and like I know somebody who's a First Nations producer is going to sit down at Circular Quay literally and with like a sign saying come and talk to me about the voice, why it's important for me as a First Nations person, so people could have yarns. It's not something that I'm like going to do because one, I feel like it's not the safest environment, but like especially when you get people from the opposite side of the spectrum. But is that something you would be open to, like sitting at your coffee shop for 2 hours and having like people, if they wanted to have a yarn with you or not? I feel like you could pull the crowds.
One of my sister girls is having those community chats in my hometowns back home, and I've considered doing the same to a degree, like holding information sessions. Being part of the youth dialogue in some degree, you have that responsibility, but I just don't have time. And this is the time to do it because we need to be getting over the line. Like if it's statistics or the rate is saying that it's going to be a no vote, I'm just like, oh. It's kind of a bit worrying.
What do we do? Well, look, at the end of the day, if this referendum doesn't succeed, it's not like that rare because only 8 out of 44 have been successful in Australia. Mm-hmm. And we also need to know this is not the end. It is just the beginning. We are, having a really important conversation. The conversation is actually the most important part, really, for me personally. But yeah, if it doesn't happen now, it doesn't mean it won't happen in the future. But what I want to say to our listeners is that get on board, go and do your research. I'm voting yes and Brooke's voting yes. So I guess that if you're a part of Not So PG team, you'll be voting yes. Yes, Chae's nodding. B, what should we tell our listeners to get them across the line? What's our last piece of the sermon? No, I'm kidding.
I think just really stay focused on what our Australian future looks like as a country. I think, what do you see for this country? I think I would love to be walking down the street and not feel uncomfortable in places because of the colour of my skin or not feel comfortable because of, and not be uncomfortable about my family walking into stores because I would like to feel that our country respects our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, our First Nations people. We have one of the oldest living cultures in the world. I think people will forget that. And I think, we need to just stay focused on what the bigger picture is. We all want to live in a world that's inclusive to all, whether the race or colour of skin, whether nationalities, whether sexuality, whatever it is. I feel like we all just want to live in an inclusive space and country. And I think we've proven that at times. I think we've all congregated and come together at times, but I think this is like a future plan for our First Nations people to actually be enshrined in Constitution and not feel so unappreciated, I think, and so devalued, and I think, just remember that there are a lot of really fierce Black First Nations people that are out there that are successful doing the work, but they wouldn't be doing the work if it wasn't for the long line before us. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So totally. We're kind of doing it for them, but we're doing it for our future kids. I want my kids to grow up and know that, their mum fought for something like this. Yeah. And you know what? The white side of history has been told, celebrated and shared. Now it's time for First Nations people to tell the right side of history and for that to be celebrated and for our future to be prioritised. I think that's all we have time for today, right? Yeah. Yay. All right. Well, you know what, B? You can, if you want, sis, you go back to bed. No, I'm going to take Cobra to daycare. Oh, look at him. He's got to go to big boy school. Oh, he's the most beautiful thing. Seriously, Chae, if you see this dog in person, it's like a little human. You just want to, hold him. Oh, love you, Cobra. Love you guys. All right, well, thank you
so much for listening to Not So PG. If you love us, leave us a 5-star rating and a little review.
If you want to tell us something, follow us on socials and slide into the DMs. My handle is at Brooke.Blurton. Maddie's handle is at It's Maddie Mills. And you can follow all of the Nova Podcast action over at Nova Podcast Official. Bye.
Bye, lovelies.